Because if you're here, there's a good chance you've been living inside your head for far too long, replaying the past, predicting the future, dissecting every small detail until your mind feels like a battlefield you can't escape, and you know how exhausting that feels. We convince ourselves that thinking more will somehow protect us, that if we analyze enough, we'll finally feel prepared. But the harsh truth is this: an uncontrolled mind becomes the source of most suffering. Seneca warned us of this long ago. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. You're not in pain because of life itself. You're in pain because of the story your mind keeps repeating about life. And if you're finally ready to break that loop, ready to step out of the noise in your head and return to the calm of the present moment, then this video is for you. Today, we'll walk through 7 Stoic principles that help you stop living in your head and start living in peace again. 1. The Stoic truth about overthinking. Your mind creates most of your suffering. Overthinking rarely announces itself as a problem. It slips in quietly, disguised as responsibility, caution, or preparation. It whispers that if you think just a little more, you'll feel safe. That if you replay the moment one more time, clarity will appear. That if you predict every possible outcome, nothing will surprise you. But the reality is the opposite. The longer you live inside your thoughts, the further you drift from peace. Stoicism begins with a truth that is both uncomfortable and freeing. Most suffering doesn't come from the world itself. It comes from how the mind interprets the world. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And if you're honest, you've seen this play out in your own life. Think of how many times your mind has wounded you with things that never happened. You replay conversations, convinced you said the wrong thing. You imagine worst-case scenarios even when nothing is wrong. You assume judgment where none has been expressed. Your mind creates storms the real world never sent. This is why overthinking is so dangerous. Not because thoughts themselves are harmful, but because an undisciplined mind ties them to fear, shame, insecurity, and false meaning. Neutral moments turn into threats. Silence becomes rejection. Uncertainty transforms into disaster. The mind writes stories faster than you can question them. For the Stoics, the mind was never meant to be a place to get lost. It was meant to be a tool to master. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Today I escaped anxiety." Or rather, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own judgments, not outside. That line reveals the core Stoic insight. Anxiety is not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. Overthinking is simply a reaction, and reactions can be trained. 2 main patterns keep you trapped in your head. One is reliving the past, punishing yourself for moments you cannot change. The other is pre-living the future, suffering in advance for events that haven't occurred. Both steal your peace. Both pull you away from the present, and both are illusions. The way out starts with awareness. When a thought appears, don't chase it automatically. Pause. Name it. Tell yourself, this is only a thought, not a fact. That small moment of distance weakens the entire chain. Once you recognize the story your mind is building, you're no longer trapped inside it. Overthinking survives on momentum. Slow it down, and it loses its grip. Peace doesn't come from having fewer thoughts. It comes from refusing to let every thought become a threat. When you stop feeding your fears, they stop growing. This is the first great Stoic truth about overthinking. You suffer far more from your mind than from your life. And once you see that clearly, you begin to regain the power to stop hurting yourself with your own thoughts. That is where freedom begins. 2. Master the present moment, the only place peace exists. There is only one place in the entire universe where peace can exist: the present moment. Not the past you replay, not the future you predict, but this exact breath, this exact second, this slice of reality happening now. Yet the overthinking mind avoids the present more than any other place. Overthinking pulls you away from where life is actually happening. You relive moments that are already gone or suffer over moments that haven't arrived. You argue internally about conversations that never occurred. You write mental scripts no one will ever read and punish yourself for imagined outcomes. That's the tragedy of overthinking. Your body is here, but your mind is everywhere else. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." A short sentence, yet one of the deepest truths ever written. When you examine your stress, your anxiety, your emotional turbulence, you'll notice most of it comes from leaving the present moment. You worry about an email you haven't received. You imagine how someone might respond. You replay a look someone gave you earlier. None of that is happening right now. The present moment has one remarkable quality. It is almost always manageable. The next 60 seconds rarely overwhelm you. What overwhelms you is everything your mind stacks on top of those seconds: memories, predictions, assumptions, fears. When the mental noise is stripped away, the present becomes simple again. Think of driving home and suddenly realizing you were lost in thought the entire way. You don't remember the road, the scenery, the sound of the engine. You were physically present but mentally absent. That's how many people live their entire lives, half present, half distracted, half alive. Stoicism calls you back into your own existence. When you overthink, your breath becomes shallow, your muscles tighten, your senses dull. But when you return to the present, everything shifts. Your breathing deepens, your vision sharpens, your shoulders relax. The mind slows because it's finally anchored in something real. The Stoics believed mastery of life begins with mastery of the present moment. Action happens here, change begins here, peace exists here. Worry is useless because it always points to something outside this moment and therefore outside your control. So how do you return to the present? You engage your senses, bring awareness out of your head and into your body. Notice what you see, hear, feel, or smell. Ask one simple question: what is happening right now? Not in your imagination, not in your fear, but in reality. The present moment may be small, but it's powerful. Within it, you are safe. Within it, you are not being judged. Within it, no disaster is unfolding. And when thoughts pull you away again, gently guide yourself back, the way you would guide a child back to the right path. Overthinking cannot survive in the present. It needs the past or the future to exist. Every time you return to now, you choose peace over illusion. You reclaim your life one breath at a time. 3. You don't control thoughts, but you control which ones you feed. One of the most freeing truths in Stoic philosophy is this: you are not responsible for the thoughts that appear in your mind, only for the ones you choose to entertain. Thoughts pass like weather. But when you treat every thought as truth, you give it the power to shape your emotions, your actions, and eventually your entire life. Most people believe overthinking comes from thinking too much. That isn't true. Overthinking comes from believing too much. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear deserves your energy. Not every mental story deserves to be followed. Stoicism teaches that thoughts arise automatically. They emerge from habit, memory, instinct, emotion, and past conditioning. You cannot stop a thought from appearing any more than you can stop a cloud from forming in the sky. But you can decide whether to stare at that cloud, fear it, analyze it, and build an entire story around it, or simply allow it to pass. Epictetus captured this perfectly when he said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." A thought is harmless until you label it, feed it, and let it take root. The moment you decide, this thought means something about me, or this is a sign, or I need to fix this, you give it life. Overthinking is simply an untrained instinct to overfeed certain thoughts. Imagine your mind as a field. Every thought is a seed. Some seeds grow into strength, clarity, and calm. Others grow into fear, worry, and chaos. You don't always choose which seeds fall into your field, but you always choose which ones you water. Overthinkers water every seed, especially the poisonous ones. A coworker doesn't reply, so the mind says they must be upset. Someone looks away, so you assume you said something wrong. You make a small mistake, and suddenly everything feels like it's about to collapse. These thoughts appear automatically, but the suffering begins when you feed them with extra stories, assumptions, and endless what-ifs. The Stoic practice is simple but powerful. Pause. Label the thought. Refuse to add extra meaning. When a negative thought appears, say, "This is just a thought, not a fact." That single sentence breaks the spell. It creates distance between you and the story your mind is telling. The thought loses its authority. It becomes something you observe rather than something you obey. Overthinking survives on urgency, panic, and emotional reaction. But when you slow down and question the thought with clarity, it weakens. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this within my control? Most thoughts collapse under those three questions. You may not be able to stop thoughts from arising. No human can, but you can become disciplined in how you respond to them. When you stop feeding your fears, they starve. When you stop reacting automatically, the mind settles. A quiet mind is not a mind without thoughts. It is a mind that has learned which thoughts not to nourish. 4. Get out of your head through the body. The Stoic somatic method. When you live too much in your head, the mind grows loud and the body grows silent. You disconnect from physical reality and sink deeper into thoughts, fears, and imagined scenarios. Overthinking doesn't only happen in the mind, it happens when the connection between mind and body weakens. When that connection breaks, anxiety expands. Stoicism understood something modern psychology keeps rediscovering. The fastest way out of your head is through your body. The body anchors you. It pulls you back into reality. It grounds you in the present moment and interrupts the mental storm before it becomes overwhelming. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to return to physical action, to stay rooted in the body rather than drifting into fantasy or fear. He knew a grounded body stabilizes the mind the same way a solid foundation steadies a building. Notice what happens during an overthinking spiral. Your breathing becomes shallow, your shoulders tense, your hands tighten, your heart rate increases. These are not just mental experiences, they are physical signals. Your body has been pulled into the storm your mind created. And here is the good news. If the mind can disturb the body can also calm the mind. When you reconnect to your physical senses, the mind begins to quiet. Deep breathing calms the nervous system. Movement clears mental fog. This is why the Stoics valued physical discipline, not for strength alone, but for clarity. One of the simplest Stoic tools is intentional breathing. A mind racing at full speed cannot survive a body breathing slowly and steadily. The moment you change your breath, you change your state. Try this pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale for 6. A longer exhale signals safety to the brain. Within minutes, thoughts slow naturally. Another powerful method is cold exposure. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort not to punish themselves, but to train steadiness under stress. Cold water, cold air, simple conditions. When cold touches the skin, mental chatter stops instantly. Awareness returns to breath, heartbeat, and sensation. You are no longer imagining disaster, you are fully present. Movement is another exit from overthinking. A short walk, especially outdoors, resets the nervous system. When your eyes focus on the world around you instead of images in your head, the brain shifts from threat to awareness. Even 5 minutes of slow walking can interrupt an anxious spiral. This is the essence of the Stoic somatic method. If you cannot calm the storm in your mind, move your body until the storm settles on its own. Your body is not just a vessel, it is your ally. When the mind becomes a maze, the body becomes the exit. When you return to your senses, you return to your life. 5. Stop replaying the past. Stop pre-living the future. Most people don't suffer from what is happening now. They suffer from what already happened or what they fear might happen next. Overthinking traps you in two mental prisons, replaying the past and pre-living the future. Both destroy peace. Both disconnect you from reality. Both only survive when you abandon the present moment. Replaying the past feels productive, as if revisiting the moment will change it, fix it, or reveal something new. But it never does. The past is sealed, unchangeable. Every second spent reliving it is a second stolen from the life available to you now. Stoicism reminds us that what is done is done. The only question is how you choose to respond today. Yet the mind keeps pulling you backward. It replays mistakes, words you wish you had said, tones you regret, looks you misunderstood. It replays failures, embarrassments, and regrets. It convinces you that one more analysis will finally bring relief. But each replay deepens the wound. You are not healing. You are reopening the same cut again and again. Now look at the future. Pre-living disaster is one of the mind's cruelest habits. You imagine worst-case outcomes without evidence. You build detailed stories around events that have not occurred. Fear becomes the narrator of your future, and you suffer for things that are not real. Seneca said, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." In simple terms, the pain you feel is rarely from the future itself. It comes from your imagination of the future. Think about how many times you've lived through something terrible in your mind, only to discover none of it actually happened. You worried about a meeting and it went fine. You feared someone was upset and they weren't. You imagined a conversation that never occurred. You predicted a failure that never arrived. Overthinking turns you into a time traveler, but not in a healthy way. You keep stepping into timelines that don't exist, punishing yourself with futures that may never come. The Stoics believed the past and the future are thieves. The past steals your peace. The future steals your courage. The present is the only safe place because it is the only place where you have influence. So how do you escape this double prison? You create a boundary in time. You give yourself permission to stop carrying moments that are no longer yours. You allow yourself to stop suffering for moments that have not arrived. Try this simple practice. If a thought is about the past, ask yourself, can I change this? If the answer is no, release it. If a thought is about the future, ask, is this happening right now? If the answer is no, let it go. Each time you pull yourself out of yesterday and tomorrow, you reclaim a piece of your life. Peace does not come from fixing the past or controlling the future. Peace comes from refusing to let them own you. 6. Don't trust every thought. Question the story your mind tells you. Your mind is a storyteller, and it is skilled at creating narratives that feel real even when they aren't. Overthinking amplifies this storytelling until reality and imagination blur together. You begin to believe every anxious prediction, every fearful assumption, every internal criticism. Stoicism teaches a freeing truth. Thoughts are not facts, they are possibilities, and most possibilities are wrong. One of the biggest mistakes an overthinker makes is assuming that if a thought feels real, it must be real. But feelings are not evidence. Emotional intensity does not equal truth. A thought can feel terrifying, convincing, and urgent, and still be completely inaccurate. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology. They taught that suffering increases when we fail to question the stories our minds create. Fear narrates the future. Insecurity narrates identity. Old wounds narrate self-worth. Without awareness, these stories begin to shape an entire life. Notice the kinds of stories your mind tells you. They're judging me. I'm not good enough. Something bad is going to happen. They must be upset with me. I'll fail if I try. None of these are facts. They are interpretations, emotional, biased, and automatic interpretations. Yet you treat them as truth simply because they appeared in your mind. The Stoics refused to surrender to this illusion. They practiced disciplined questioning. When a thought appeared, they didn't react immediately. They didn't believe it blindly. They didn't let emotion outrun reality. Instead, they paused and asked 3 questions. Is this true? Is this helpful? Is this within my control? These questions act as a filter. Almost every anxious thought collapses when examined through this lens. If a thought is not true, it loses authority. If it is not helpful, it doesn't deserve your energy. If it is not within your control, it is not your responsibility. By questioning your thoughts, you reclaim power. You stop being a character inside the story and become the observer of it. And when you observe, thoughts lose their emotional grip. You see them for what they are, temporary mental events, not reflections of reality. Imagine watching clouds drift across the sky. Some are dark, some light, some heavy, some thin. Yet you don't panic or assume they define the sky itself. Thoughts are the same. They pass, they shift, they dissolve. They only trap you when you chase them or mistake them for truth. When you develop the Stoic habit of questioning your thoughts, something changes. Your mind stops being a threat. It becomes a tool again, something you use, not something that controls you. This is the heart of inner peace. Not the absence of thoughts, but the refusal to be ruled by them. When you stop trusting every story your mind tells, you stop suffering unnecessarily. You stop drowning in illusion and begin living with clarity, strength, and truth. 7. Create peace intentionally. Stoic rituals to quiet the overthinking mind. Peace is not something you stumble upon. It does not appear when life finally becomes easy. Peace is a practice, a discipline, a skill you build deliberately. The Stoics understood this deeply. A calm mind is not a gift. It is a daily construction. Overthinking grows strongest when there is no structure. A day without intention becomes a day ruled by random thoughts, fears, impulses, and distractions. You wake up, reach for your phone, get pulled into noise, and suddenly your mind is crowded with worries you never chose. If you don't guide your mind, the world will guide it for you. That's why the Stoics relied on rituals, simple, repeatable practices that anchor attention and direct the mind toward clarity. These were not spiritual ceremonies. They were mental exercises designed to build focus, self-awareness, and emotional stability. One of the most powerful rituals is morning grounding. Before facing the world, you pause, breathe, and remind yourself what is truly within your control. Marcus Aurelius began each day by preparing his mind for difficulty, reminding himself that challenges were inevitable. but his response belonged to him. This habit protected him from being dragged into reaction and emotional chaos. Another essential ritual is journaling. Not the kind that demands perfection or poetic skill, but the kind that brings thoughts into the open. When you write what's troubling you, fears shrink, problems become clearer, and mental stories lose their grip. Journaling separates facts from imagination. It allows you to observe your mind instead of being trapped inside it. Digital boundaries are another pillar of modern Stoicism. Overthinking often starts with overstimulation. Too much information, too many opinions, too much noise. The mind becomes overloaded, and anxiety fills the space where silence once lived. Setting limits with your phone, delaying screen time in the morning, or reducing social media exposure gives your mind room to breathe. In the evening, the Stoics practiced reflection. Seneca ended each day by reviewing his actions, asking what went well, what went wrong, and what could be improved, not with judgment, but with clarity. This habit turns mistakes into lessons and prevents you from carrying unnecessary mental weight into the next day. But the most powerful ritual of all is the one you can use at any moment: the Stoic reset. A single pause, a deep breath, one conscious decision to question the thought pulling you into fear and return to the present. This takes seconds, yet it can interrupt hours of anxiety. Overthinking thrives in chaos. Peace thrives in routine. Every ritual you practice becomes another brick in the foundation of a calmer mind. And when those bricks are stacked day after day, you build something unshakable. Peace does not arrive by accident. Peace arrives because you choose it, practice it, and protect it. When you finally stop living inside your mind, life becomes simple again. Not perfect, not painless, but simple, grounded, and real. The 7 Stoic principles you've just learned all point to one truth. Your peace does not depend on the world. It depends on how you interpret the world. You've seen how imagination can torture you and how the present moment can free you. You've learned that your body can anchor you and your thoughts are not commands, only suggestions. The past cannot be changed. The future cannot be predicted. Peace must be created through intention and discipline. Stoicism gives you back a power you forgot you had. The power to choose your response, to question your thoughts, to return to the present, to build a mind that serves you instead of harming you. So choose one practice today, one breath, one ritual, one step back into your life. And remember, peace begins the moment you decide to stop suffering inside your own mind.